we've got Theo, pronouns he, him, calling in from Truthful Xenon. Talk about noble gases. Being honest with you, that's fucking dumb. We got Theo, says it's just more sense to vote for Trump. Let's talk about it. Theo, you're on the line with Forrest and Jimmy. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you just
Sure
fine.
do. Waiting to excited to have some sense talked into me.
So it says here it makes more sense to vote Trump. I'm dying to know why. Because there's a lot of ways you could take that. None of them are good. So break it down for me very briefly. What does it mean that it makes more sense to vote for Trump?
Yeah, I'm gonna give like 4 quick reasons. So the first one is just like the section of like competence. So if it was Trump versus Biden, I think we'll all agree Trump will win, but Biden would have beaten Kamala. So I think that just makes sense that Trump
All right, so
should be over.
let's just go ahead and just correct a couple of things right off the bat. It isn't Biden versus Trump, and Obama beat Biden, and yet Biden was still able to beat. So why don't we get off of Biden? The Biden thing is a totally irrelevant point. And Theo, let's agree, just for the sake of making sure that there isn't any other thing at play, that people's names are pronounced the way they pronounce them. And by now, Theo, she has been your vice president for 4 years. You can put in the effort tonight to call her by her name, which is Kamala, like comma, like the thing, or Kamala, chameleon, or whatever helps you, comma, whatever helps you remember. But it isn't Harris, it isn't Biden versus Trump. So we can just leave that behind. Make it about the competence of Harris versus the competence of Trump, if you like, and call her Kamala or Harris or Madam Vice President. I think that's good, and we can proceed from there, Theo.
I'll just call her Harris. Sure. Can't really say that name. Okay, so that would have been my first point. So no in any particular order, right? So not in any particular order. So that would be my first point.
Mm-hmm.
Second point, I feel like Trump. If you're voting for Trump, you're voting for the person, Donald Trump. While if you're voting for Harris, you're just voting for like the left ideology. Like the politicians on the left, like they don't have any personal thing about them. They're just like pawns for whatever the left ideology at that point is. So,
okay, so let's dig into that one. Are you asserting? Let's dig into that one because you're making different points. So let's take that point now. Yeah, are you saying that there's nothing of substance that we're voting for when we're voting for Kamala Harris? Are you saying that we're just voting against Trump? We're voting where there's nothing good that she has to offer?
Not specifically. I'm saying more like whatever you vote for Harris, it's just you can take the entire ideology of the left. Like if you draw a line and say these are left ideologies, that's basically what you're voting for. While Trump
I love it.
Strongly disagree.
I love this point.
Disagree already.
Wait. I don't even need to engage him on that point. I need to engage him on the fact that he thinks Trump is different than this. Hey, Theo?
I do.
What was the biggest thing that Donald Trump accomplished in his 4 years in office? Undoubtedly, every political pundit would say he did one thing that has the biggest impact covering everything. And it's not a policy, but it's a thing only he as the president had the constitutional right to do.
Not sure. I think you want me to say abortion, but that was not really him.
Nope. He appointed 3 Supreme Court justices.
Yep.
You agree that's the biggest thing he did? It will have the longest long term. Right. Falls under the purview. Right. Now you all right. Now listen. I love this. Theo, you believe that he is the man himself, independent from the party influence, and that is better than the left who gives... Nope, hang on, Theo. You believe it is better than Kamala Harris, who is just the pawn of the left. Let me ask you, Theo, who chose Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett? If you say Donald Trump, guess what? Nope, you are wrong. You want to take another shot at it?
I do not. That's what I think. I don't know.
Yeah, you're incorrect. And by the way, this isn't things that he or these organizations are shy about. So I'm going to educate you, because on your first point, once again, the thing that I love about doing the show is having people call in and reveal the foundation of their very point is not something they are even aware of and can support, because the foundation of your point is undermined by the fact that Neil Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and Brett Kavanaugh were all chosen by the Federalist Society, and the latter two, Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh, were hardly lobbied for individually and chosen by the Heritage Foundation. You know the Heritage Foundation, the one that wrote and is responsible for Project 2025, which Donald Trump claims to have nothing to do with because I never even read the bill, not even aware of what they're talking about over there at Project 2025. But if you go to their website, you go to the Heritage Foundation website, and you go to the Federalist Society, you will find both of them bragging about how basically everything they put in front of him, he signs, even though he doesn't understand what he is signing. So not only are you wrong that he is not influenced by the party, Theo, the people making the most dramatic and important decisions, do you know anything about those two organizations? What would you say their alignment is, the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation? If you just had to describe them briefly.
I don't know anything about this organization. This is
Great.
honestly
They
the
are
first time
Christian.
hearing about this
They are.
organization.
Yes,
However,
I know that, Theo. I know that this is the first time, because only a person who called in to say he is more competent and independent would say those things. But they are, in fact, Christian nationalist movements who have undermined the human rights of people. Theo, I'm answering for you the question you couldn't answer. Yes, you may talk in a moment. Go ahead, Theo.
Okay, so what I didn't say Donald Trump would not be influenced by the right. I did not mean that. If I said that, that's not what I meant. However, he's not completely if you remove Harris and just put someone else there, it will be the same thing. They just support the views of whatever the left is at that point. My point is Trump has some personable things with him that comes with that, and that could be good or bad.
And I just explained to you why it isn't true, and it's actually more. I just explained to you, Theo. Theo, I just explained to you why it wasn't true, and at its core, that not only do those organizations did they pick the Supreme Court nominees, their websites are covered with all of the legislation they got him to sign. That they are the extension of his. The Christian nationalists, which are the most dangerous group in this country, have control of the man. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on the short list last year for vice president. So if you want to sit there and go, oh my God, if the Democrats replaced Harris, it would be a lot of the same. I agree. However, notable that even Harris and her vice president are different, and they're actually trying to not let you know how much they are different. He is being really sweet right now and trying to make sure you are aware that he isn't different. But I ask you, Theo, in 2024, this year, when the primaries were going, which party got rid of their candidate in response to most of the country wishing they would? I'll tell you this, both of them were polled, and both of them said most of us would like different candidates. The Democrats got rid of theirs because apparently it is different who you put up. And in 2020, they did that too, where the Democrats actually organized to stop Bernie Sanders for being too different from their mainstream Democrats. So I can give you example after example after example right now of how Democrats actually do see differences and will even adjust to them and try to stop them in some cases, whereas Donald Trump put his little mushroom dick in the Republican Party and has not pulled it out since 2015. Everything you are saying, Theo, is true in reverse about your candidate. I sure can, buddy. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to give you to Forrest now. I feel like I have adequately. Sorry, Forrest, for taking over. I get so excited. It's just these are silly goose points.
I usually do biology calls. I'm out of my element right now. I'm just here.
I'm going to start stringing a guitar while you two have a good time. I'll be here though.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that point that I gave, I don't feel that was completely negated by what Jimmy just said. I think Trump has a like celebrity charisma type of thing going on for him. That,
Sure.
and I know there's not a good reason to vote for someone, but at least it gives me that like feeling that he's not just a complete puppet, basically.
So
If that makes sense.
let's just for a second, let's assume that's true. Let's play along with this because I think Jimmy has thoroughly laid out that literally anybody can make him do anything they want as long as they convince him that it's his idea and that it'll make
That's
him
not
look
true.
big.
Trump is one of the most stubborn people.
Yes, he is very stubborn and his ego. So as long as somebody says, hey, this will make you look big and strong and powerful and everybody will take you really seriously, he'll totally do whatever he wants. And if it's something that makes him look foolish, he'll literally draw on a fucking hurricane map with a Sharpie to preserve his tiny, fragile little ego. So, like, the thing, like, just negating all that because it's pointless for us to discuss it any further. I think Jimmy's laid it out quite well.
Right.
Assuming it's true, assuming that Trump really genuinely just does what he feels and that Harris really does just follow whatever the Democratic platform is, which, again, cancerous enough, is demonstrably false. Isn't that still a problem considering the things that Trump believes and says are demonstrably awful? So it doesn't matter where the ideas are coming from. The problem is that his ideas and beliefs are stupid.
So why I think that it's good for the political candidate to be that independent type of person is because if you can't convince that person of whatever idea, so basically they're more likely to listen to logical reason than changing the political landscape of what is on the right or the left.
Didn't you just say that Trump is way too stubborn to have his mind changed like 2 minutes ago?
No. I said he's extremely stubborn. However, what do you think is more likely, Trump changing his mind or changing the ideas of the right?
I don't think Trump has any ideas of his own. I'll be honest with you. I think that he just regurgitates the fear-mongering shit that he hears on Fox News and speaks. And so the fact that he has taken, it's been over 8 years and he hasn't learned what a tariff is and how it works. And he just keeps saying that word. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That convinces me that he is not going to have his mind change anytime soon. However, what we have seen actually happen is that the right, quote, quote, has had to change their opinions and had to change their stances due to intense political backlash several times, to the point where Trump is now out here saying, I didn't kill Roe v. Wade. I never would have killed Roe v. Wade. It wasn't my idea. I didn't do that. Trying to distance himself from it, despite the fact that that was the platform he ran on. His justices are the ones that did it. And he is still out here saying, and his vice president are saying, that abortion should be completely illegal in all cases and that there should be some sort of punishment for it. But he knows how bad that looks in the public eye. And so he's trying like hell to distance himself from it, as are a lot of Republican candidates. So to answer your question, I think it's a lot more likely that the entire right wing shifts a little bit to try to save face than Trump give up a little bit of his own ego in order to say, hey, I'm wrong, I changed my mind about something.
Yeah, so I don't really want to go into specific with like abortion or trans ideology or anything like that specifically.
Good idea, you'll lose.
Probably not, but I'll just say for the case of abortion, I do not support the reproductive freedom thing, and just because it's not fair. So right now, having it just for women is not fair. If they do it for everybody, I have no moral qualms with it. But if it's reproductive freedom for men, women, everybody, then hey,
sorry,
I'm all for it.
Just like
Theo. No. I'll give it right back to you, Theo. I agree with you. That is bullshit. You should be allowed to get an abortion if you get pregnant. And I agree we should give everyone, male or female, no matter who you are, if you are pregnant, you deserve an abortion. And it's bullshit Theo, nobody's trying to fight for your right. No, Theo. Everyone gets the right to an abortion. You too, buddy.
Yeah.
Dumb point.
I agree with that.
Right. Yeah, as long as we can do the laws in some way where it says reproductive freedom, so as a man, you have the right to abandon and things like that, hey, I'm all for
Nope,
it.
that's not the same
I have
thing.
no moral
You just
qualms
asked
with
for
it.
you
Why
just
not?
asked for inequality, you moron.
Yeah,
I said
that is very
reproductive
different.
freedom.
And yes, reproductive freedom meaning like control over your reproductive organs, right? So like saying that a man has a right to abandon a child is not the same as saying that a woman has a right to decide who is using her body to survive, who is living
What is the
inside of her
difference?
uterus. So I'm just going to stop right here just for a second. Be so for real with me right now. You seriously are going to sit here in front of thousands of people and pretend that you do not understand the difference between being financially responsible for a child and having a human being grow inside your body and then crawl out of it. You seriously don't understand that those are different things, genuinely?
Okay. Hold on. So, Forrest,
That's a
let me
yes or
ask
no
you a
question, Theo. No, that's a yes or no question. Is that
No,
really the
that
stance
is
that you're about
no,
to take?
no. Yes, that's
You
that's
don't.
the part I'm about to say. So
You
now,
don't
let me
understand the
ask you a
difference,
question.
is what you're saying. No, I'm confirming. You
No.
don't understand the difference?
I don't understand the difference in the dynamics with man and woman. Man can give birth and do
Okay.
that. However,
Cis men can't.
okay,
But
so
just
now
to be
my
clear,
question. So now my question.
so the difference is like, see, the difference is anatomical females, whenever they get pregnant, they have to deal with this thing. We have an invasive uterus. It's called a hemocoral uterus that we have in humans. It's really interesting. You see, what happens is that you actually have that uterus. God damn me. See, I'm all turned around. We have a hemocoral placenta, and the reason why that's exciting is because that means that placenta is actually in direct contact with the maternal bloodstream. It's different than a lot of other mammals. It's really cool. And because that placenta is in direct contact with the maternal bloodstream, they actually have to activate certain retroviral genes in order to suppress their own immune systems, in order to not destroy and eat and attack their own baby. How crazy is that? So like, pregnancy is not a benign condition. You have a literal human being growing inside of you. You have massive changes to your organs, to your bones, to your hormone structure. You have immunosuppression going on that has potentially lifelong effects. There's a lot going on there. And on the other case here, when you have an anatomical male who's gotten this person pregnant, they have financial responsibility. See, that's the difference, is that one of them has to lose some of their income, and the other one risks their very life. That's the difference. You see now? Is that helping a little bit?
A little bit, but no. But so now.
Okay, so no, we'll go further then. No, we're going to make sure you understand the difference between having a financial responsibility.
I understand.
We're not moving on from this point because I need you to understand that there's a difference
I'm not
between
moving on.
having
I'm
a little less money.
Something with you.
There's a difference between having a little less money and actually giving birth to a person and losing a tremendous amount of blood, potentially having a rip or a tear in your vagina, having to have a cesarean section where your body's like cut open, nerve damage, tissue damage, lifelong hormonal changes. Those are all different things that actually affect your physical body and potentially could cost you your life. Whereas the other one you need to put in a few more hours at work. You see the difference now?
Agreed.
Is that making sense?
Agreed.
Okay, so you do understand that there is a difference between, when we talk about reproductive freedom and reproductive justice, there's a difference between a woman having a right to an abortion and a man not being allowed to abandon the child. You understand those are different concepts, yeah?
No, I still disagree.
Okay, we're going to go back then. We're going to make sure we understand this.
Can you
One
let me
of them
clarify?
is a medical...
No,
I need you to know that those are different things. It is a different thing to have a medical condition where you have to go to the doctor on a regular basis. You have to get ultrasounds. You have to take vitamins. You have to be checked out because you could literally die giving birth to another person. There's a tremendous amount of stuff that goes into pregnancy. Trust me, I've never been through it myself. Wouldn't want to if I could. But it's a horrible situation. Meanwhile, the other one is that you got somebody pregnant, and now you may or may not be responsible for that child financially. You don't have to have anything to do with the kid. You could walk away still and not have a relationship with the kid, but you may be financially tethered to the kid, considering the fact that their living in the world is at least partially your issue. So, like, do you see that those are different? Are we gotten to the point now where those are different?
Can I ask you a question before I answer that?
No.
Because you've asked me a lot.
You've
asked me a lot, and I don't think it's fair.
I'm not asking you a lot. I'm asking you one question over and over, and you keep telling me that you do not understand the difference between pregnancy and financial responsibility.
I disagree. I'm saying I disagree, but if you don't let me clarify why, then we're just going to keep doing this. So will you let me clarify why I disagree? Because I understand everything you've said.
Yes, but I feel like it's not going to help. Because I feel like what you're going to say is that men should have some right to live their life however they want and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to try to compare that to a woman like actually having to deal with real pregnancy in a way that simply is not comparable.
I'm not going to do that. So,
cool.
What I was going to ask you is
if
you can think of any laws in the U.S. that I guess differentiates based on biological needs, based on sexes. Is there any law that does that?
I like that we already addressed this. Theo, you will have the right to an abortion. The fact that you don't need an abortion and can't really have one, you will have the right to an abortion. All people, in fact, the same laws. Shut the fuck up! I wasn't done. The same laws that should allow them to get an abortion will also prevent something like you being compelled to give a kidney you don't need, because the actual laws are about medical and bodily autonomy. So even the example you're trying to say differentiates does not differentiate, because the law shouldn't literally be get an abortion if you want. The law should be medical decisions should be made between a patient and their doctor, and that should fall under the purview. Abortion should fall under that category, which, by the way, if you look at the precedent of the laws that passed, that was much more what was indicated. The only reason abortion came up was because religious zealots, like the guy that you are voting for, though he himself not as much a religious zealot, just propping them up and using them to get to power in a sort of Hitler-esque way. The fact of the matter is that you are complaining that it wouldn't be equal when in fact it literally would, because it would be about bodily medical autonomy and has nothing to do with whether a person wants a relationship with a fetus, zygote, or even a baby. It is a totally different set of laws.
The whole thing, it's ringing the exact same, Theo, is when people said that like same-sex marriage is giving gay people special rights. You also have the right to get married to a man if you want to or not, just as any gay person does. It's just equal rights for everybody. That's really what it boils down to.
Okay, now question for you, Forrest, now as the biologist. Okay, so imagine a case, a woman was pregnant and she wanted an abortion, and so the doctor, including abortion, the fetus was removed. Now, imagine in this case, this fetus, no matter how small it is, survived. Okay? And was able to survive. Would you advocate for the woman being physically responsible for the fetus, which would then become a baby and everything? From this point?
I don't know.
Okay.
If by some magic... let's entertain it. Let's entertain it. If by some magic you were able to have an abortion and then somehow miraculously this fetus was to grow into a whole baby outside of a human body, then I think that the mother should then have the same rights as anybody else, any other mother, to give that child up for adoption or to relinquish rights and give it to the state or anything like that.
Right. Laws, right? Exactly.
Laws that already exist because men are already giving up parental rights. Men are already giving up parental rights in many places. And by the way, why don't you go to the average court and ask them what percentage of people are actually paying any court-mandated child support? Because the number one person who isn't paying child support has nothing to do with I don't want that child. It's actually I want a right to that child, but I don't want to pay for it. I want the right to call that my son, and I want the right to. But are there going to be unfortunate situations in the country where we have laws that are based on public good? Yeah, so what's the way you fix it? The actual way you fix it, Theo, is very easy, free, paid for by the government, access to birth control. You will, paid for by you and me. Everybody gets birth control for
Birth
free
control,
because,
comprehensive
like
sex education.
every other country. Theo, again, you once again are showing you don't know the foundation because you just hear paid for by us, by the government. Well, that sounds like that's more money out of my pocket. Guess what, Theo? It's less money out of your pocket because if people have fewer children they aren't ready for, they put less of a strain on the system, which means we need less taxes to pay for social safety nets, to pay for welfare programs. It is a program that pays for itself, and almost every other developed country has figured this out, and it's why they have lower instances of unwanted teenage pregnancy overall. We're not talking about just unwanted pregnancies and like ending in abortion isn't counted. Stop interrupting me. I'm addressing your foundation and you keep trying to move us away from the things that undermine and destroy your point. And you're sitting here going, oh my goodness, I am being proven wrong by the thing I just said, and jumping out, wow, we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it. Wait, guys, come on, let's get off of this. I know you've just made me look adequately uninformed and ignorant of what the foundation of my position is, but can we please move back to where I can make outrageous statements and hope that I can appeal to emotion, even when I didn't understand fundamentally that the right to an abortion actually has very little to do with an abortion and only has a right to medical autonomy. But Theo, I have a question back for you. So you're going to get the mic in a moment. You're going to love it. Tell me, which candidate is offering a policy by which a person may abandon their child after birth?
So, as I was saying.
Nope. Which candidate? Nope. Which candidate is offering the resolution you are looking for you as a man to have the right to abandon your child because you have unprotected sex, get a woman pregnant, and she is unable to bring herself to have an abortion, doesn't want to, or decides to keep it? Which candidate is offering that policy?
So there's currently no candidate offering that policy.
Correct. So we are currently arguing about whether or not you are going to vote for a man on the basis of how you are against this thing that is the status quo in America that he did nothing about during his term and is not going to do anything about it in a future term. You can sit there and complain that you are being so exposed, but do we want to waste more time on a thing that your vote and the president will not change, or should we stick to an actual policy matter that is fucking different between the candidates? Or are you actually this shallow on how you decide who to vote? Exactly, bitch. This was your topic.
Let me talk. Okay, so Forrest, if you remember, when we started this, I said I didn't want to go into abortion. I didn't want to go into this topic.
And then
I just said, let me state my point. Let me just state. Hold on, Jimmy, please.
Let me interpret for you. Hang on, Theo. I'm going to interpret for you because you need it. Hey, I'm going to make an abortion point at you, Forrest, but I don't want you to rebut it. Please just take it as it stands and accept the premise as true, because if you accept the premise as true, what follows for me afterwards will sound better, even though it will suck. Forrest, if you could just do that favor and do his work for him, that would be great. Go ahead, Theo.
I just want to point out the fact that we started this whole thing with Theo saying that Trump is the better candidate because he isn't a puppet and will always do whatever the fuck he wants. Like that's where we came from here.
That. But again, my point, as I said when we started this initially, I don't have any moral claims on abortion. I don't have any claims at all on abortion. My only thing with it is that it was not equal under the law, and we already
exposed that was incorrect.
We already covered that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, and I unified the right to abortion with safe haven laws. I conflated all that, but if you guys are saying those are actually different and all that, I'm willing to accept that point.
Great. Can we get to an actual policy point that's different between the fucking candidates? Or we're just going to jerk off all night? Stop edging me. Jesus.
I heard a lot of what you guys have said against Trump, and I think they're ridiculous points, honestly. Like, for one, you saying that he was going to be a dictator or anything like that, because anyone who knows separation of powers knows that cannot happen in the U.S. government.
Interesting, Theo.
Just
Theo,
out of curiosity.
please give me a summary. Yeah, go on.
No, it's fine. I just want to point out, like, you think that anybody who knows anything about separation of powers knows what's going to happen. Who was the one who said, I would be a dictator on the first day? Who said that?
I don't know. I'm guessing Trump.
It was Donald Trump. It was Trump. It was actually Trump. Also, who is the person who tried to overthrow? Also, who is the one who tried to overthrow the government last time he lost an election and still maintains that anytime he loses anything, including the last election, that it was rigged against him, that there's no way that he could lose in any fair fight. It's Donald Trump. So you're sitting here saying, well, he couldn't be a fascist.
January 6th.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So first of all, absolutely not. Second of all, let's not pretend like that's not what you were just fucking talking about. You're saying that it doesn't matter if he's a fascist. It doesn't matter if he's a dictator. It doesn't matter if he wants to fucking destroy it. What the thing is, we have these systems in place that will prevent it. He wants to destroy those systems, dude. So like, for you to sit here, it's gross enough that you would say a cavalier like this, that like, it's fine if we bring this fascist into power because we have anti-fascist stuff in place. Still not a reason to bring a fascist into power. But also, he has continuously, repeatedly said that he wants to get rid of those things, consolidate power in the executive branch, make it so that he can fire anybody and replace them with cronies for him whenever they disagree with him, and is named like 300 times in Project 2025, which is the playbook for Christian nationalist fascism. So, like, I don't know what you want from me, dude.
The left has constantly tried to hinder free speech, and they also use the...
When is one time? See, when is a time that the left has tried to take away free speech? Man. Seriously.
No, and I love this. I actually love this. Hey, the left is trying to take away free speech. Okay, you did two things. One, you said Jan 6 was peaceful, and you said left is taking away free speech. How did you feel about the revelation? Stop. I'm about to ask you a question. I'm going to give it right back to you. On January 6th, how did you feel about the revelations this week that basically he was surrounded by people on his side, his right-wing people, Republicans, his staff, begging him when he saw that the riots had become violent to say something to stop them. And when faced with the phrase, "Your vice president's life is in danger," he responded, what did he respond, Theo? "Who cares?" How did you feel about that revelation this week?
I'm just hearing it from you right now.
Yeah, because the foundations of your beliefs are completely shaky and you don't know shit. Now, which Theo, out of Harris and Trump, which one of them this week embraced and had on stage the person who runs a social media platform, who often arbitrarily based on who he likes, literally shuts down accounts of journalists and people who are critical, and despite the fact that that person has done more censorship of his opposition by a lot than any other, embraced him, gave him stage time, but also which candidate recently said if he gets in office, Mark Zuckerberg better be worried that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Which one of them did that?
Do you really want people to believe that Elon Musk has censored more people than the left? Once he was the one who unblocked Trump from Twitter.
Yeah,
like Trump was blocked from
absolutely,
Twitter.
Theo. He literally
unblocked Trump from Twitter and then went on to block literally anybody who criticized him in any way or said the word cisgender. Like, you can't be serious if you think that this one thing that he unblocked a fascist, but then continued to block a million other people is in any way comparable. It's just ridiculous. Also, just pointing out, we talk about censorship.
Wait, before you move on that,
just said, okay, no, I was going to say something about Trump. Go ahead.
Yeah, come back to it. I want to now leave the Twitter one. Theo,
sure.
Also, as far as Elon Musk goes, Elon Musk has literally deleted journalists' accounts, and basically said these things that are public information, them reporting on them is too dangerous. Therefore, I'm deleting it because it affects me and it affects Donald Trump. Also, on top of that, has deleted other people for making jokes about violence toward the president, literal obvious jokes. But when he makes a not obvious joke, no repercussions for him except a possible Secret Service investigation that will be happening. But the funniest thing here, Theo, is the man bought the platform and literally told people to fuck off and leave, advertisers to fuck off. And if you want to blackmail with money, go fuck yourself. That's his big famous line. And what did they do? Yeah. They pulled their money. What did he do in response to them pulling their money? What did he do, Theo, when they pulled their money? He fucking sued them. He wanted to punish them for their free speech. He sued them to stop them from exhibiting their free speech, to make the choice. He said, if you don't like me, you don't have to pay me. They said, great, we don't like you. We're not going to pay you. And he went, yeah, well, you'll be hearing from my lawyers. This deadbeat dad who's trying to steal kids from his wives and is fucking abusive to his old daughter. There's nothing good about this fucker. And you're sitting there going, he's so great. Theo, this is a man. Theo, this is a man who literally said he will not make any speech. Theo, he said he will not make any speech illegal on the platform unless there is a law against it that he has to follow, and then made cisgender a slur, cisgender a slur, which he will ban you for using. Theo, that you think either of these men.
Not the N-word, though.
Donald Trump is literally suing ABC for free speech and promising to take away journalist license. And as he put it, we're going to open up the libel laws so when they say things about you, you can go and win a bunch of money. He's literally trying to threaten your speech and ours. You're an idiot.
Also, I just want to throw out really quickly before we move on this isn't Harris. This isn't Harris versus the Musk here. It is Harris versus Trump. And Trump just said at a rally that you shouldn't tell anybody at the rally if you're going to vote for Harris because you'd be in danger. He literally on stage said, raise your hand if you're going to vote for Harris. Actually, you know what? Maybe don't raise your hand. You might get hurt. He said that at his rally. My supporters will hurt people if they say they're going to vote for Harris. That is intimidation. That is a threat. That is a problem.
Come on. He was saying
you don't think it's intimidation. You don't think it's intimidation to say, hey, I'm surrounded by 1,000 people that will beat you up if you say you like somebody else. You don't think that's intimidation?
Don't do it. So that may not happen. He said don't do it so it doesn't happen. Right?
Wouldn't a good leader say, my audience, my supporters would never engage in political violence? My supporters would never hurt somebody for disagreeing with them. That would be a really good thing to do. But instead, he said, you will be hurt if you don't support me. That's what he said. And that's not the first time he said it either. At other rallies, he said he would pay the legal fees of anybody who beat up a protester. He said he would pay the legal fees. He said basically, he would pay the legal fees of people who beat up protesters. That's supporting political violence, not just accepting it, supporting it.
Oh, come on. You're just exactly using facts. Hey, Theo, which party has changed the laws in their states? Which party of the two have changed the laws in their state to make it so they don't have to certify the election if somewhere else in the country someone claims that there has been voter fraud? Which party has done that?
The party with the most sense, the Republican?
No,
right? They're the ones.
No, not the party with the most. Literally, they don't actually have to prove that there was fraud. Just say there was, so they don't have to. West Virginia just did it. You think that is sense? That is literally the opening move of a fucking fascist. That is a person who is trying to say, your vote, Theo. Theo, if you vote in one of those states, and the state's party is in power, is not the party you like, they can just go, oh, I heard whispers from a person who literally, this is what they based the Dominion lawsuit on. The Dominion stuff they used to lie about. A woman who said that she was told by ghosts through the wind about it. They can take that and go, oh, because that fraud has been revealed, we don't have to certify. Theo's vote no longer matters, and our legislature will pick the president. You support a dictator.
Also, which party is currently banning fucking books? Like, how hard do we go on that?
Let me talk to this point. It's like saying you shouldn't shut down. You shouldn't shut down airport activities if someone calls of a bomb threat. Like, it just makes sense for you to shut it down and investigate until you clear that.
Theo, here's how dumb of what you just said. Theo, I'm going to explain to you why what you just said was dumb. You should not, you absolutely should not shut down a Florida airport if in New York that airport got a bomb threat. When one airport gets a bomb threat, you don't throw out everything. And if a woman writes an email saying a ghost talked to the wind, through the wind to her, and told her that the Dominion voting machines were being used illegally to commit fraud, you also should not try to overturn an election on that basis and have Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, I think that's how you pronounce it, the cousin fucker, you know who I'm talking about, and what is her name, Maria Sharapova, whatever that Fox News host. Literally, Fox News had to pay nearly $1 billion, which they didn't contest because they were afraid of the evidence. If Carlson, who repeated these things, McCallum, who repeated these things, if Hannity, who repeated these things, ended up being put on the witness stand, they were worried about their liability, so they agreed to pay out $1 billion and admitted all of that was on the basis of this one letter who no one even followed up with her, from a woman who talked to a ghost through the wind. And that's the party you think is making good laws about voter fraud and whether or not there is voter fraud in this country.
Free speech.
Theo, if there wasn't a chance that your guy was going to win, I'd only get to laugh at you because you might be one of the worst at deciding who to vote for. At least all of my shit is based on facts, and yours is based on, I don't even know what to call it, conjecture, fantasy. Is it the Bible?
Logic,
no, it isn't.
Logic, fact.
Nope.
Logic.
Sir, I don't even think you know what logic is.
Except for the fact that literally every time you said something, we refuted it by the things that your candidate says. So, like, I don't know, dude. It doesn't seem very logical and factual to me. But it's been about 40 minutes, Theo. It's been a frustrating 40 minutes. I would encourage you to just consider the fact that the party that is trying to...
Would you be frustrated?
I don't. It's been frustrating because literally every time we have let you speak, you have immediately started out with a bullshit point that we've had to interrupt you for and go over, and I hate that shit. I love more conversations. But when you say things that are just factually, demonstrably, objectively false, like the fact that the party that is trying to ban books about LGBT people is pro-free speech, I can't take it seriously, and we have to have a weird 40-minute shouting match. So I'm going to go on to the next call, Theo, but I encourage you to call back some other time. Take care.
Damn, we weren't able to get to the 55,000 books, Bibles that Oklahoma ordered, and made sure to make the qualifications only fit the Trump Bible, because these free speech people need it specifically to be the Bible that he makes money off of.
That the Bible must be had and taught in every public school classroom. It must be the Bible endorsed by Donald Trump. And by the way, those Bibles are printed in China.
Hey, what's up? I'm glad you enjoyed that clip of people talking to each other. I'm Jimmy, and this is Eric. And well, we'd really love it if you would support us. Where can they support us, Eric? Where would they do that?
I don't know, Jimmy, because I don't have the notes on me right now.
This is too long. The outros have to be short. Patreon.com/call the line.